everyone. Welcome to the Arm Coach Podcast, episode 51. Do you ever hear yourself saying, this is too hard? That working out and mindful eating should be easy? Because if you do, you may be doing yourself a big disservice. What we're going to talk about today is how we define sculpted arms is hard. And when you make changes, why it naturally might be challenging. And when you say, this is hard, what actually happens inside your brain and how it affects what you do and how you eat and move. We're going to talk about how to reframe hard and possibly talk about why hard can be a good thing. And I'm going to introduce you to a worksheet that I use with all of my clients. Here we go. Do you think that getting what you want, which could be in the area of body work or weight, or could be in any area of your life, that it should be easy? When you're trying to reach a goal and it's difficult, you assume that anything that's hard is too hard. Then guess what? You stop trying. You also might think that when things are hard, that it's not fair. You think things should be easier for you. This is the problem. It's your thinking that things should be easier and that it's not fair if they're challenging. We're going to talk today, and I'm going to show you why hard is good and how to stop thinking that easy is your goal. Let me ask you this. How often have you heard yourself say, but it's so hard? I can certainly think of more than a few times that phrase has come out of my mouth. Many, many, many times that I've heard that come out of my clients. I would bet that you aren't different. When you say something is hard, how do you feel? I know that I feel burdened. I feel overwhelmed. I feel a little hopeless with maybe a little touch of dread. Who would want to put effort into something that feels really bad right from the beginning? When you think something is hard, your knee-jerk reaction is to feel bad. And then either to avoid it like the plague or to go through it really grudgingly with dread, waiting for that sky to fall. When you feel dread, hopelessness, or a sense of being overwhelmed, you probably tend to give very little effort because you're thinking, why bother? Or maybe you do it kind of half-assed because you think you'll probably fail anyway because it's so hard. Not a great way to start an arm sculpting program or any project in your life. You probably know some of this, but I'm calling your attention to it because being even just a little bit unconscious of this thinking is going to definitely keep you stuck. Wouldn't it be cool to start approaching a goal with excitement or zest, or at least peace? You can, and here's how. You need to reframe the idea of hard, and you need to think about why it's come to mean something negative to you. What types of things do you usually label as hard? Things that take you out of your comfort zone, things that make you stretch beyond what you expected or what was required of you. Here's the big one, especially for fitness and losing weight. Things that have no immediate payoff, no instant gratification, because you're probably thinking something like, you mean I have to eat mindfully and lift weights and move my body without seeing an immediate 10-pound weight loss and definition? I know you may have thought that. Many people do, but here's a new way to look at the concept of hard. Who says that hard has to be something bad or something has to be avoided at all costs? We are wired, and that includes you, to actually like and thrive doing hard things. Humans are given the intellectual ability to figure things out. Problems stimulate you if you approach them the right way. For instance, I know that if you think that's hard, you might feel dread. If you think instead, wow, that's challenging, You might feel stimulated or even excited. Sometimes you probably tend to think that you want life to be easy peasy, no problems, no hurdles, no learning curve, just simple. But guess what? It's not really true. Now, of course, you don't want mountains to have to climb over everything you do in your life. We'd all love things to go smoothly. But when they don't, remember that your brain is designed to find solutions to everything you encounter. You can find solutions. Just imagine how differently you might go through life if your motto was, I can figure this out, instead of, oh no, a problem. When you're beginning a new fitness program, check the conversation that's going on in your mind. If you find yourself worrying about how hard it's going to be, you're setting yourself up to start your program with a huge weight on your shoulders. Not exactly a fun way to live and get things done. But if you can think about starting a new fitness program and accept that there will be challenges, you'll feel differently. And you'll be so much more likely to look for solutions and do well. Be interested and compassionate as you tune into your own mind. I want you to take a few minutes to go back in time to the last couple of change your body efforts you made. Did you go into those programs thinking about how hard it was going to be? Now it's time for a fresh start, because seeing roadblocks as temporary challenges that you can figure out, you're much more likely to stick to your program. You're much more likely to reach your goals, and you are much more likely to feel great while you're doing so. If you can begin to catch yourself when you start thinking things just should not be so darn hard, you will benefit from changing your mantra to, I've got this. Take a moment and explore how you usually react to challenges. I want you to see how easy it is to create new responses to life's little or big trials. Now, I want to walk you through this worksheet that I use with my private clients very frequently, because if they start a program with me, even with intense, high attention from me, coaching one-on-one, they're still going to trip over their own feet if they have this secret thought that this is too hard for me, life is too hard, sculpting my arms is too hard, changing my habits is too hard. The worksheet is called Learn to Welcome Doing Hard Things. If you're past the age of 12, you've probably figured out that life can be challenging. If you fear and shy away from challenges, you won't grow. If you fear hard things, you can never get what you really want, unless what you desire is very small and easy. When you do go through challenging times and you come out on the other side, you're stronger. You feel great. Your image of yourself expands, and suddenly you feel like you can take on the world. Your goal is to stop being put off by hard things. I want you to view them instead as things that are valuable and worth striving for. Sculpting your arms does not have to be a struggle, yet it may not be simple either. Let's take a look at your current attitude towards hard things. Now, you might want to grab a pen and paper and start jotting down your answers to these questions. First, think of a time that you went through a big, challenging experience. After you got through it, think about how you felt. It could be in your personal life, it could be at work, it could be in relation to a relationship that you're in. It could just be a personal challenge of something that you were trying to improve, or maybe it was a health challenge. But after you got through it, how did you feel? Did you feel relief? Probably. But did you also feel proud that you got through it? Did you feel like you suddenly could look at yourself in a slightly different way? Now, look at this. Think about that same situation that you just thought about or wrote about. What did you tell yourself? Remember, it was a challenge. What did you tell yourself when you ran into roadblocks? Because you will run into roadblocks. That's a part of life. Did it feel good or did it feel bad? When you were going through a challenge and something came up that blocked you, or at least put a bump in the road, did you feel like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? This is too much. This is too hard. Or, okay, I'll just figure this out and then I can move on. Then ask yourself, what is your general inner motto? Is it more often, oh no? Or is it more like, I'll figure this out? You probably heard me say this before, but I'm very proud of my kids who frequently will come up against obstacles like everybody else. Not so much in the area of weight and eating, but more in the area of life and work and relationships. They're no exception to the rule that life can be challenging. But what they learned from an early age and what has now become their personal motto, whether they're aware of this or not, is that they both believe that they can figure things out. That's what I would love for you to consider as you are on the road and come up against a challenge, right? Run into a roadblock. And if your automatic thought up until this point is, oh no, I want you to just try out and see what it feels like by substituting the thought, I will figure this out. It implies that you don't know the answer yet. That's common. When you run into something different that's blocking your way to progress, to achieving a goal, to getting through some part of life, to happiness or whatever, it's very, very common to not know what your next steps are. But not knowing what your next steps are doesn't mean that given time and attention, that you won't be able to sit down and create a solution. But if you react to that roadblock, the same roadblock with horror and fear and terror and giving up, hopelessness, helplessness, it almost guarantees that you will not find a solution because you're not putting yourself in the place of even looking for a solution. Here's another question. When you say, oh no, this is going to be hard, what feelings come up for you? Because as we say, your thought creates your feelings. Your feelings determine what action you take or what action you don't take. If you do say something like, oh no, this is going to be hard, you're not likely to come up with a feeling of confidence because it's not aligned with your thought. If you have that thought of, oh my goodness, this is going to be impossible, or I can't do this, or this is too hard. No wonder it feels so hard for you to do what you know you want to do. Of course, your thought needs to be aligned with the feeling you want to create in order to do what you know you need to do. When you come up with your thought and you realize what you say when you run into the roadblock, and then you realize what feelings you're creating, consciously or unconsciously, ask yourself, what actions do these feelings make you want to take? If they make you want to give up, you know that thought is really harmful to you. If they make you want to stay in bed and pull the covers over your head and wait for this particular challenge to pass by, you know that your thought is not helping you. What I'm doing is helping you project ahead and look at what you've done in the past and why it's been so hard to get ahead. And even project right now into the future and say, okay, if I keep thinking this and I keep feeling this and I keep doing this, what's my result going to be way into the future? But this is like an intervention because I want you to step into your life, to step into your mind and change things. Awareness is the first step of change. Just try it on for size, even if it doesn't feel natural to you. All right, the roadblock comes up and you say, all right, I'm going to figure this out. Now, what feelings come up for you? Now, what feelings come up when you tell yourself you're going to figure things out? I would have to guess that you're much more likely to feel optimism, confidence, proud that you will get through this. And the opposite of the feelings that you were feeling when you thought, not only is this hard, but it shouldn't be hard, and I can't handle hard. If you look at the two different paths, both of which come from the way you're thinking, either this is too hard or I'll figure it out, which path makes sense for you going forward? Well, of course. Now, you may be tempted to say, all right, but some circumstances in life are really hard. And when they're really hard, I really don't know what to do. I get it. I really, because I'm in life with you. And there are definitely many, many situations or circumstances in life that come up that are challenging. I would prefer that you use the word challenging instead of hard. Hard sounds like a roadblock, like a stop sign. Challenging inspires your brain to look for solutions. And every challenge we come up against, we can find a solution for, even if that solution is just acceptance of what is. Remember, of course, we can't always change things, and we can't always change our thinking in the moment. But when we stop fighting what is, that in itself brings a sense of peace. In order to go forward and start making this change, can you think of someone in your life who you could use as a role model, who deals with life's challenges in a positive way? Think about someone who continually moves forward, evaluates what's happening, looks at it as a challenge, and moves forward. And maybe use that person to emulate a little bit and think in your own way, in your own style, and your own method of thinking. How would it be for you to emulate a little bit of that attitude of, okay, I will deal with this? I want you to ask yourself one final question. Are you willing to notice how you respond to challenges and begin to move just 1 degree in the opposite direction? I'm assuming that you're already not thinking, I've got this. If you are, congratulations, because you're so ahead of the game just having that skill. But if you're not, can you just practice this in the next coming few days, 1 inch away, higher from what you have been doing? Now, I want you to focus on how often you tell yourself, this is too hard, or I can't do this, or this is too much. And think of a time when you handled something really challenging. It wasn't a quick fix. How did you feel after you handled it? Wouldn't it be nice to feel that way going into a challenge with more strength, with more confidence, and with more optimism? Be aware of your thinking. Now, that's it for our coaching session today. If you want a copy of the worksheet, I'll put it in the show notes so you can print it out and do it for yourself. Remember, you will always get more out of something if you write it down than if you just think about it. I really encourage you to do that. All right, everyone, I'll see you next week. Hey, before you go, if this episode or any of the other episodes on this podcast have helped you in any way, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Your review will help us find and have maximum impact on as many women as possible. While you're there, hit the subscribe button so we can continue on this journey to sculpted arms together. Thank you so much for your support. I've loved having you here today, and talk soon in the next episode.